Hi Moonbeams, it's Nina. Welcome in. I'm going to show you today how I draw skin in Procreate. This is a drawing that I'm doing for my friend Nikki, and she's absolutely amazing. I love her to bits. She's so funny, best dad, and I'll show all her stuff in the description. So as you can see, I have way too many layers because I just can't commit, okay? And I have to draw every element of the face in my outline on a separate layer. So eyes, nose, lips, everything separately. So I group them together, you know, for ease. And before I add any color, I like to do the values, which is basically a layer where you keep it fairly monochromatic, either with the same color of your outline, which is what I'm doing on a lower opacity, or black and white, which is what I used to in the past. And this is basically before you get into colors that they might confuse you or make it harder for you to see where things should go in terms of shadows. This is a great step if you're struggling with that. All you have to do is just put down this darker color where you think the shadows will be. So that will be the eyes, under the nose, under the lips, where the hair would fall, and the neck. So these are all the natural points where a face would have shadows. Now again, if you're not very confident in your anatomy, I would definitely suggest you get a reference photo. Trust me, do it. And what I'm doing is I'm going to the smudge tool, and you can use any smudge brush that you've got, and you just smudge it out. This is again where you're going to be is your choice, is your stylistic choice. I'm going for a fairly smooth kind of skin complexion. I know, not complexion, you know what I mean. I know some artists prefer more striky skin tones. They prefer that texture into their faces. I tend to prefer more smooth, but again, this is your choice entirely. So I'm smoothing everything out as best as I can, and I'm trying to keep it fairly loose because I'm not very realistic. It's semi-realistic and overly stylized, my style. But if you're going for realism, you will need more defined shadows and exact, bone placement. So I would definitely have the reference photo for that, just to make sure you've got every value that you need. But because I'm going for definitely a stylized choice, I'm fairly confident in my anatomy and where the shadows would naturally fall, that I don't need the reference photo for this picture. But I use them all the time. Use them. And as you can see, I'm cleaning up because I'm that artist that just definitely paints in the larger scale than you need it to, and just goes over it and erases it all. But it's fine because I would rather have more to work with than less, and then having to add things more. I just prefer having it already. And this is a very useful layer, again, if you're not very confident with sculpting a face basically just from colors, because that's a whole skill of itself. And if you don't know how basically skin tones have a lot of variety of colors within them, and to make it very neat, you need a lot of work. Also, what I'm just showing you is flip that canvas. Do it. Don't skip it, because your eyes get so used to seeing that picture that you don't see the flaws in it, and everybody else will see the flaws immediately. So flip it. Don't skip it. Now, at this point, you could merge your outline and your values layer if you so wish. Again, too scared. So I kept them fairly separate, but I put them both on multiply. And what multiply, the blending mode, does is that any color you put on top, it will match with the outline. Basically, your outline will become a bit of a chameleon and change according to what color you're putting onto it in a slightly darker tone. So I'm just going around placing the flat skin tone. And I know you can't see very well because I should have been sharing you my screen, which next time it will, but it's already showing some definition, and that's because of our values layer. So this is already giving you a really an edge a little bit, because you're already seeing where those shadows need to go. instead of either having to consistently look at the reference photo or just ease of time. And then again, I'm cleaning it up. You will see that a lot, okay? By the way, in the values layer, I would definitely do the hair and the clothes, but because on this video I'm just showing you the skin, I didn't do the rest. So once we had the flat colors, I'm gonna get a new layer and I'm gonna clip and mask it onto the flat colors layer. That means that anything I put on top will stay confined to the flat color. And I'm going for a slightly darker and warmer skin tone, tone than I had on the skin tone. And what I'm doing is basically defining those shadows a little bit more and just placing where we already have them, just putting a bit more definition into them. And then again, get this smudge brush and smudge away. I use this brush all the time. Now, again, we're going for a different layer, a new layer, clipping mask again. Now, don't be alarmed, it's gonna be magenta, but it's fine, don't worry, promise. Because skin tones aren't just one color. Skin tones are full of different colors depending on the pigment. And I tend to find that adding a bit of blues or pinks or even reds creates a very natural looking skin. So that magenta, I will change it to a blending mode of darken and then lower the opacity. And again, get a smudge brush and smudge away. But yes, I find that this gives it that extra bit of life. Because I think without the step, it's again a choice, but for me without the step it doesn't have that lifelike feeling that you get sometimes. So I do tend to use it quite a lot. Depending on your skin tone, you might use different saturations of the blues and reds, but you wouldn't have green unless you're going for like a very specific lighting. So yeah, reds, blues or magentas tend to be the most frequently used for shadowing, just creating that bit of warmthness or even coolness, but very natural. So now this is where we're gonna add our blush, and again it looks a little bit alarming, but you put a new layer, clipping mask again, and it's quite a deep salmon color, and I put it over the nose as well because I'm going for quite a very naturally flushed face. I think that brings a lot of youth and like life to the face. If you're going for a very makeup look, you would avoid the nose because we tend to cover up the redness of the nose. But lower the opacity and then, you know, it should give that more life to it. Now, no, you can't see it very well, but next time. So then I have another layer with a clipping mask, and it was too dark for me, so I went over and changed it to a bit lighter. And when I put it to overlay, it adds a little bit of extra glow, not like a highlight, but definitely more of these youthful skin. Personal opinion, but that's what I think. Now, the next thing I wanted to show you is my favorite part of the drawing, is when you add the light streaks, or what I call the just the magical lights. And I had to do the lipstick for this because I just wanted to show you where I would place them. But this is I'm fairly done with the skin by this point. But this is the best thing of all. You go over your outline and over your values layer and you get as white as you want. I go for fairly pure white. And this is, when you put this on your painting, it just turns to life. It just, without it is not as defined or as dimensional as you can make it. And you don't want to use it too much. You want to use it as, you know, where the light would naturally catch. And that's basically how I draw skin. And here it is, because I couldn't show you. But next time I will definitely show you whilst I draw. But thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.